So today the first thing we did was to gather together and consolidate our research. Everyone had lots of different interesting ideas that had come up when they were researching, and a lot of them were very similar as well, like similar things which we'd found. So we came up with a few statements about men which we'd learned from our research, which we could find a way to use within the piece. The first statement is men convert one feeling to another because they are considered feminine feelings. So what we mean by this, what was said by this, was that if a man is feeling, say, hurt or sadness, these feelings are very has connotations of weakness, and that's more feminine, well, considered more feminine, and so for males, that might come out as anger and frustration, because they, instead of hurt and sadness, which is considered weaker emotions, would come out as frustration and anger, because they would consider that more masculine. Men find it hard to think and feel at the same time. So what this statement kind of means is when men are feeling very emotional, they tend to lash out instead of thinking through the problem. Men feel pressured to take charge and not show insecurities. So by this, we found in our research that men felt they had to take charge of situations and be better than others, because otherwise you were weaker, and that emasculates them. Not showing insecurities, again, is like a sign of strength, and if you are sensitive and showing insecurities and not acting confidently, then that, again, it feels like it emasculates them. Next statement, view purposes of conversation differently. So they view the purpose of conversation differently to how females may see it. So in someone's research, they found that males saw conversation as not to talk out serious issues and get support and stuff, but more for banter and purpose, facts and stuff. So another statement, men externalise their feelings, showing emotion through aggression. So it's kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier, how instead of thinking through situations, they tend to lash out, and when they're feeling hurt and sad, these feelings, which are considered weak, they tend to lash out through aggression. Last statement, men feel like they can only express anger. So again, similar. Most emotions for males are taboo, because you shouldn't. For males, they feel pressured not to show emotion and to always be strong, and that's the kind of masculine ideal, to be strong and brave and confident and not show these insecurities. So, but the only emotion that is considered masculine and okay to show is anger. So after we did this, we moved on to create a messy. Well, we moved on to create an opening. So we'll create a basic opening for the piece. So this is our first attempt at creating an opening for the piece. It's a bit messy, this run through, because I've only just blocked it.
Okay, go.
So we begin right from the start, creating a light-hearted atmosphere by having a very awkward opening which creates humour, and right from the start creating that relationship with the audience, like interacting with the audience. It kind of eases them into that darker stuff and creates a relationship before we get into those darker topics. It also, the humour it immediately engages them, and because she's coming through the audience to the stage, they're immediately looking around and on their seats about what could happen, because the actors and cast are near them, which has them on edge. But it will help create a relationship with them, and again, ease them into darker stuff. So we're showing interactions between the cast, and we want to keep everything very like natural movements, natural tone, so we don't sound like we're acting. This will make it sound more sincere, more like we're giving advice rather than acting a play. So they can more apply it to their lives. Also, this whole natural acting, and trying to keep natural. It makes the audience more at ease with us. And the interactions between the cast, will make the audience more at ease, but also create a kind of sense of banter, which is like a humour, and engage the audience.
Hello, we're N2C Theatre, and we're going to talk to you about the way you communicate.
So this would be, because this is the first run through, it's a bit mistimed, but that the moving of the chairs would interrupt Caitlin and create a sense of humour, because she would make a face and show her annoyance, and just this kind of interaction and banter between the two, it creates humour, engages the audience straight away, and because the humour immediately creates a light-hearted atmosphere, which will again engage the audience and capture their interest.
We're going to be talking about your penises.
So use the word penis straight off, which is breaking taboos early on, which will help open people up and make it, and we're letting them know that it's okay to talk about taboo subjects, and a taboo subject to them is male communication.
Just your penises.
So straight off, high energy captures the audience's attention early on. This is how we were talking about a couple of blogs ago with the high energy peak points to keep the audience engaged, interested.
Your dick, your cock, your schlong, your John Thomas, your wood, your one-eyed trout snake. Just your penis.
So again, all those using the slang language, it creates humour for the audience, because it'd be quite shocking for them to see this in a school sanctioned assembly. It's quite shocking to hear words like that, and it really breaks taboos, saying it's okay for us to be talking about these things, and it's okay for us to tackle subjects even if they think it's not quite school appropriate.
It turns out that penises can affect your behaviour.
So we're really adhering to the male stereotypes here, the crude, boisterous, and crude about girls, showing off, loud, bantering between each other, interacting with each other, not sensitive. So we're presenting this stereotype really early on, which we won't use all the way through, but just for now, keeping the very high energy, capturing their attention.
I don't think mine's working. Not doing it. Late developer.
So that bit was there as a humorous part. This is their first blocking, it's hard to correct.
Example, situation number 1.
So here we were taking the fake penises off our chairs and putting them down our trousers, which is a humorous moment, and it really acknowledges that we are girls, but we are, for this time being, becoming boys, taking their side and talking about things that affect them. So we're really emphasising these stereotypes here, becoming more masculine and showing the traditional masculine traits. So this is another stereotypical behaviour, showing the competitiveness, which is the competitiveness of such a trivial task. It really creates a humorous moment that's very high energy and engaging. So at this point, making any mistakes we can make a part of the bit, so it doesn't matter if it happens as long as we keep high energy, keep interacting with each other and the audience. And this whole part is about interacting and just creating a very high energy, humorous moment. So at this point, we're using as many stereotypes as we can, and by creating such satirical characters with very heightened versions of traditional male characteristics, makes them seem almost ridiculous, and really kind of even at the start kind of unpicks these traditional male traits and characteristics that they are pressured to have. And yes, this is a very heightened version of that, but even saying that all men are like this, all men have to be like this, it shows how ridiculous it is, because all men and all people are different. So we have to be careful using stereotypes so that we don't become offensive. However, at the moment, this opening appears to be working and will help us gain a relationship with the audience, with the humour and the interactions with them and each other. Will help create that relationship and ease them into talking about more serious, darker subjects, so we don't just bombard them with all these dark, very potentially scary things.